ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today, I have a very extra special video for you all, as I will be going through my entire Blu-ray collection as of January of 2022. It's been a little over a year since I last updated my collection for you all. So this video was originally scheduled to come out around Christmas/New Year's time, but certain things happened in my life that had me off of YouTube and down for the count for a few weeks. But now I'm back on my feet, everything seems to be good to go, so this video is finally getting done. So as you can see, I have two bookshelves behind me. One of them has all of my Steelbooks, limited edition box sets, as well as TV series that I've collected. The other has a mix of 4Ks and good old-fashioned standard Blu-rays. And so, without further ado, let's hop right into things. Alright, so I'm going to try to get through all this as quickly and painlessly as possible. I'm not going to give a mini review on every movie that I touch. Maybe certain special editions or certain cases or covers of movies that I really like, I might mention a little thing or two about them, but for the most part, we're just going to rip through these because there is a lot of them, and as I always say, I don't want to be doing this all day, and I'm sure you don't want to be sitting there watching this all day. When they're on the shelf, they're in alphabetical order, but taking them off, it just kind of became a bit of a mess, so they're not necessarily in alphabetical order in the way that I'll be presenting them to you. So we're just gonna kind of rifle through them as quickly as possible. As you can see, this shelf here is empty, so the Steelbooks, special editions, and TV shows will all be going first. So first up is an absolute classic, Clash of the Titans. Just kidding, it's not the classic one. It's like the really not great Sam Worthington one. And I still honestly enjoy watching it every now and again. It's like a guilty pleasure one. So, and I do love the Steelbook. I'm pretty sure I got it at a pawn shop for like $8. So like that was an absolute steal. Next, Braveheart on 4K. It's Braveheart. That's all you really need to know. If you haven't seen Braveheart, do yourself the favor and watch Braveheart. Next is Bohemian Rhapsody, a movie that I see getting far too much hate. I enjoy the ever-living shit out of this movie. I've seen it so many times since it released. I am a huge fan. I absolutely love Queen and their music, and I think the movie is great personally, even if it isn't actually Rami Malek singing, which is like the big thing now. Black Widow, I like the steel a lot. I know we're getting like a lot of reflection from like lights and stuff. I love the steel, and that's the only reason I got it. The movie it's all right, but still pissed off at Disney for putting the IMAX only on Disney Plus and not on physical media. But as a collector, the collection must go on. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Big fan of this steel. Love it, love it, love it. I do have the 4K in here, I think, or maybe it's in... I have another collection that has the 4K in it either way. Love the steel. Theatrical version of the movie sucks. Ultimate Edition is the way to go. Love the Ultimate Edition personally. Batman Begins, the first of the Dark Knight trilogy. Really solid. It's like a really simple but very, very nice looking steelbook. I personally think it is the weakest of the trilogy, but it's still like a 10 out of 10 movie. I love it. It's great. I'm going to put these two up next because they are a two-parter. I love this steelbook set. Like the purple, the animation, not the animation, I guess the animation's in the movie. Just the design of the steelbook, the faces matching up. You have Joker and Two-Face on the backs. The only reason I got these, it was like, they were okay movies, but the steels, I saw them and I absolutely fell in love with the artwork, so I had to get them. Another one, very simple design, great movie, even if there's a few people in here that we really aren't allowed to talk about anymore, but the movie itself still kicks ass, and this steel is a simple yet elegant delight. Next, Avengers Endgame. This is the first steelbook that I got for the MCU. I love the movie so much I had to get it, and back when I first got it, it being the only steel that I had from the whole universe was really special to me, but now I've just continued buying the steelbooks anyway because they look great. Aquaman, I don't know how to feel about this one. I don't know if I like the cartoonish look that they went for with this steel. Nevertheless, though, huge fan of this movie. Absolutely adore it. I always have a blast watching it, and I always defend this one tooth and nail. Next, Two Steels is another two-parter. They're stuck together there, sorry. A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2. Both movies are magnificent. I am in the field that I much prefer the original over the sequel. However, both movies are definitely worth watching. Moving on to the next stack. My boy Christopher Nolan, once again, my favorite director of all time. The Inception Steelbook. Again, it's another relatively simple one, just kind of has Inception spelled out across it. Got the back there. However, it is a steel that I got during like the Target closing sales when they were leaving Canada, and I got it for like dirt cheap. It was like $12. I have the 4K in here because the 4K with those IMAX shots are a must-have. Next one is one of the newest entries, Halloween Kills. Love the steel. Love the artwork. However, the movie was like, less said about it, the better. Halloween 2018 is the way to go. Speaking of Halloween 2018, I'm actually an absolute whore for this movie. I have 2 Steelbooks here. I prefer this one. This was the one that released second. And I got it for much cheaper. I got this for like $15. This one I spent like the whole $50 on it. I don't really love this one, but again, Steelbooks, I love them. In this movie, Halloween 2018, I am absolutely infatuated with. Godzilla vs. Kong, the artwork looks really good on it, but it from a distance. When you get up close, it does look a bit cheap and kind of just like it got pasted on there. However, the movie is an absolute blast. The 4K, the visuals, especially in the final fight, just blows my TV screen apart. And the Dolby Atmos track on that with the bass literally had my house shaking. I thought it was an earthquake going on. Gladiator, I don't actually have the 4K for this one. I kind of regret not buying the 4K steel when it was new. Love the movie, still kind of trying to hunt down the 4K like loosely. Like if I see it pop up again, I'll buy it. If not, I'm just as satisfied with this steel. I actually think this one looks a little bit better, but yeah, I need to get the 4K for that one because I've heard it looks fantastic. Biggest surprise of the year for me, probably Free Guy. I had such a good time with this movie, and I do highly recommend it if you are a fan of video games or Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds more so than video games. I'm a big fan of both. I'm not gonna lie. Ford v Ferrari, this one of the best movies of the year when it released. The steelwork, it's okay, but the movie definitely worth watching. Absolutely one of my favorite movies from that year. An 80s classic, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You can never go wrong watching this movie. Any mood, any time of day, any time of year. You always have a blast with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Elysium, I actually just upgraded to the 4K for this one because I heard the 4K looked absolutely stunning. I think it's the weakest of Neil Blomkamp's films. However, I still think it's a damn good movie and definitely worth your time. Another one of the newest Steel additions, Dune, one of the best movies of last year. I actually think it's my second favorite movie of last year, just behind Spider-Man No Way Home, but it is an absolute looker. One of the best looking movies I have ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely cannot wait for part 2. Denis Villeneuve, good old Canadian boy. Number 1 movie in my mind that never got a sequel, Dread. I adore this movie. It's basically like Die Hard, but set in a dystopian future, and it just kicks all kinds of ass. Death Race, like Paul W.S. Anderson's like only actually good movie. It's kind of just a typical action movie, but I always have fun with it. If you're a Jason Statham fan, then you'll love it. Daniel Craig Bond collection. I actually do have the 4Ks in here. Daniel Craig is by far the best Bond in my mind. He is, the best Bond. He is my Bond. He's the one that I grew up with. I like most of these movies. I love Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, love it. And then Spectre, it's fine, I guess. No Time to Die, however, which we will get to soon. Love it as well. Chappie, this movie bombed at the box office and got absolutely shit on by critics, but I love it. It's another one of those movies that I will defend tooth and nail. Knives Out, my boy Rian Johnson. I love the artwork. I love how it's designed to look like a book and everything, because obviously the big mystery, the whodunit for Christopher Plummer's character, he was an author. So I love the design of this steel, that it's meant to look like a novel. The movie, one of the best whodunits in a very, very long time. That's kind of like a subgenre of movie that doesn't really get done anymore. Kingsman: The Secret Service. This is the first of the 2 movies, or the 2 in the prequel. Love this one. So chaotic, so over the top, so much fun. Love Matthew Vaughn. King Kong, one of my favorite movies of all time. Some people think it's a little too overlong, a little too bloated. I say screw them. I love this movie. It's in like my top 10 favorites of all time. Absolutely adore it. Saw it when it was brand new, when I was like 6 or 7 years old back in 2005, and it blew my mind then. Still blows my mind now. I only have this movie for the artwork. This is not the Snyder Cut. This is Justice League, the original 2017 released one. I love the artwork. Yeah, that's it. John Wick Chapter 2, this is the only steel I have from these 3 movies, and it works out just fine for me because I love the steel, and it is my favorite of the John Wick trilogy thus far. Of course, we still have 4 and 5 coming. The 4K is in here. The 4K looks really good, especially with like the neo-noir, all the neon lights. The whole aesthetic for these movies looks really good in 4K, and then when those gunfights get popping, the house starts shaking, and it is so awesome. Simple yet elegant. Jaws 4K Steelbook, look at that. It is just pure perfection. It is like the easiest Steelbook you could have ever done, and it is gorgeous, and it just works with the movie. Injustice, fun fact, I actually haven't seen this movie yet. It's the animated Injustice. I love the games. I heard the movie was garbage, but I got the Steelbook for like $13, so I was like, screw it, why not? And I love the artwork on it, even though it really doesn't make sense, because I'm not getting into the whole lore of the game. Don't worry about it. Inglourious Bastards, one of Tarantino's best. Fun fact, this is a movie I hated when I first saw it, because I was like 10 and it didn't really get it. Watched it again like years later when I was older, and it's like my third favorite Tarantino movie, which is saying something, because he's one of my favorite directors, and my favorite of his movies is Django Unchained, which is my favorite movie of all time, so that is very high praise. The collection now, I'll show them rapid fire. Indiana Jones, I mean, you can't beat these movies. The best adventure movies of all time, except for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull comes first. The artwork is like, a lot of people weren't a fan of this artwork. I don't like the backs because they're super simple. They just have like one item on them, like the main item of the movie. But the fronts, I think, are gorgeous. One, and then you got, they're in order. Last Crusade, from Last Crusade. Temple, Raiders. Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's just, that's my favorite still to this day. Probably the best adventure movie ever made. It's definitely among them. Next up on the agenda, we'll rapid fire through them. Man of Steel, I will always defend this movie. The 4K is in here. The 4K is the way to go if you can get your hands on it. I adore this movie. Best iteration of the character. It is the pinnacle of the character. Henry Cavill is the best Superman we've ever gotten. This is the best Superman movie, and still in my mind, the best of the DCEU movies. Mad Max Fury Road, easily, I love the Steelbook too, love it. Easily one of the greatest action movies of all time in my opinion. Probably the best action movie of the 2010s. Yeah, I am absolutely head over heels for that movie. Logan, have the 4K in here too. Another one of the best superhero movies ever made, and among my favorite movies of all time. Hugh Jackman and Sir Patrick Stewart's swan song. They couldn't have done it any better. Sin City, great graphic novel, come to life. Love this Steel too. I actually picked it up off of like my local buy and sell on like Facebook for like $5. Fantastic Steelbook, fantastic movie. Definitely, again, that's like one of the best examples of like a comic book movie coming to life. They do the whole black and white thing and everything, and it looks so good. Shutter Island, 4K, Steelbook, one of Leo's best movies, one of Scorsese's best movies. It is a great thriller. It's not like your typical gangster movie that those two put out. It's a thriller through and through, and it is a damn good one. I kind of like this Steelbook, actually, like, very simple yet elegant. Like, some people might say they didn't really try, but I really enjoy it. Shazam, as a movie, I do really enjoy. I think it's, like, I don't love it as much as most other people do. I enjoy the comedy, but it's not my favorite of the DCU. Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, same thing as Black Widow. I love this Steel, and as a collector, I had to get it, but I am still extremely pissed off that none of the IMAX shots are included. The artwork is fine. I love having my Canadian boy Simu Liu on the cover here, but I think the one, I don't even know if you can see it, the one on the inside where it actually has him and his father fighting, I think that should have been the outside cover, but I mean, to each their own, right? What are you going to do? Next up is the recently released Scream 20th, I think it's 20th anniversary, 25th anniversary 4K Steelbook. The 4K transfer is a very good one. Again, simple yet elegant artwork. It is definitely worth picking up if you've got the extra cash. Even just the regular 4K of it, so good. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. There have definitely been times where I've considered this to be the best Star Wars movie, if not then the second best. I love it. Again, very simple yet stunning artwork. And yeah, it's a damn good Star Wars movie, and the 4K is in it, and it is stunning. No Time to Die, as we mentioned earlier, again, such a good Daniel Craig Bond movie, one of my favorite movies of last year. I actually think it's probably Daniel Craig's second best Bond movie. I know it's like kind of a controversial opinion, but regardless. My Bloody Valentine, released on its anniversary. This is the original My Bloody Valentine. I love the artwork, and this movie is extremely special to me because in my little portion of Canada that I live in, nothing happens. It is so boring here, but this movie was shot like 10 minutes from my house. So that is just so damn cool to me. And it's crazy that like we got this awesome Steelbook re-release because of like how important the movie was to the, you know, the slasher 80s boom for the genre back in the day. So it's super cool that that was shot really close to my house where nothing happens here ever. I love the Steel for this. Mortal Kombat, I am a defender of this movie. It's not great, but I had a ton of fun watching it, and the sequel just recently got greenlit, so that to me is so cool. Very excited to see that. Steelbook that I love for a movie that I love. This is like my second favorite Pixar movie. This is the 4K Steelbook of it, and it is so cool. I love just the little cartoonish kind of artwork on the front. Again, it's one of those that it's like super simple, but it works because it's Pixar. You know, it makes sense, so it works. I'll show these next few together. And Mission Impossible 1 to 5 or 1 to Rogue Nation in here, and then Mission Impossible Fallout here. This is the best of the bunch in my mind. This is a 10 out of 10 movie, one of the best action movies in recent memory. The rest, I like 3, 4, and 5. I think 1 and 2 are like fine. 2 is definitely the worst, but yeah, do enjoy all of the Mission Impossible movies. Making sure things aren't sliding everywhere. Next, Sucker Punch. I got that at the same time that I got the Sin City Steelbook. It was $5. This is the only reason I have it, because the movie really isn't that good. Love Zack Snyder, but that one's iffy. We're going to rapid fire through all these, because the next 9 movies are all the Star Wars Steelbooks. Rise of Skywalker, boom, boom. Wicked Steel, movie. Underrated, overhated, The Last Jedi. Love the artwork on that one. That one's probably has my favorite artwork, honestly. Force Awakens just has the characters on it, but this too is an absolute banger of a movie. Revitalized the franchise. Return of the Jedi. Love how like they don't these steels, they have like the characters on the front for each movie, and then they have like the original poster on the back, which is like super dope. So Return, Empire. Don't know why they chose the Stormtrooper, but yeah, Empire. New Hope. My boy Vader on the front. Keep going. Hopefully they don't slide off. General Grievous 4, Revenge of the Sith. Front back. Yoda, not Baby Yoda, not Grogu. OG Yoda. Well, actually not really OG, because he's not a puppet. He's CG in the prequels. But yeah, love the artwork. And then Maul, Thor, Phantom Menace. Love all the artwork for those. I have the 4Ks in them. I just bought the 4Ks and then flipped them into the steels. Into the Spider-Verse, one of the greatest animated movies of all time, if you ask me, and I cannot wait for the sequel. Space Jam, absolute 90s classic. I grew up on this movie, and I still watch it all the time. Love the artwork on that, too. I actually got that steal for, like, dirt cheap. It was, like, $16, which was a steal for a steal. I don't love the artwork on this one, but Solo, A Star Wars Story is probably one of the most underrated movies in recent memory. I really hope we get a sequel, or even a sequel series would be great, because I do enjoy the movie so much. These next 3, I don't know where the 4th one is. I don't know where the hell it ended. I think it's on the next stack. The Purge movies, they're just fun to watch, except for like the first one and the 4th one. They're okay. But yeah, I like the steals for them. The artwork, they were like Sunrise Records exclusives. I know my hands are all over them, so you can't really see them. But yeah, and the backs are pretty simple. It's just like it has people with like weapons in their hands and stuff. But yeah, I do enjoy them anyway. They're fun little movies to watch around Halloween. Anarchy being my favorite. The Italian Job, fun fact, I got this for like nothing. I actually haven't even seen the movie yet. I've been told it's really good, but again, you see a nice looking steelbook and it's like $5. Like, how do you say no? The steelbook for the Hobbit trilogy, I will always defend this trilogy tooth and nail. I have a blast watching these movies, and I watch them like annually, just like The Lord of the Rings. These are the theatrical editions. That's what came in the steelbook. It was like a year before the extended editions came out. I also have the extended cuts, which you'll see later. But yeah, I couldn't get rid of the steel. I really, really like it. So, and it was a gift. The Departed. I mean, Scorsese, Jack Nicholson, DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg. Like, you know, you name off the cast, and you already know you're all in. Dark Knight Rises. For some reason, this movie gets way more hate than it deserves nowadays. I love it almost as much as I love The Dark Knight itself. I have the 4K in there as well. And then you have The Dark Knight, second favorite movie of all time, one of the greatest movies of all time, if you ask me. Again, you have the 4K in there because you need those IMAX shots if you can get your hands on them. I only have it because I like the steelbook. Also, poor Emilia Clarke just has her butt on the back. But yeah, the movie is just, it's absolute garbage. But the steelbook looks really nice. This one, the steelbook, I think is probably even nicer than that one, and it's definitely a much better movie than Genesis as well. So yeah, I like it, and I like white steelbooks because they're kind of rare, so that was cool one to have. Super 8, this movie is phenomenal, and this is the 4K steelbook that came out for it. Totally worth it. Yeah, it's a damn good movie. Definitely worth checking out. If you like Stranger Things as a show, this came out before Stranger Things. This was Stranger Things before Stranger Things was cool, okay? Suicide Squad, only got it because I got the steelbook for like dirt cheap. It was like $15 or something. The 4K is in here. The movie's garbage, but like, you know, the steelbook is like sexy as hell, so why not? All right, we're going to rifle through the last few steelbooks here and then the special editions. Zombieland, really, really like this steel. Love the movie. Zombieland, one of my favorite comedies of all time. Zack Snyder's Justice League. So happy this movie finally came out. I was rooting for it to release for years and years and years, and it exceeded every expectation that I have. This is 4 hours of your life that you'll wish you could relive over and over again. So damn good. Not a huge fan of the Steel, but like I had to get it because not only did the movie actually come out, but they actually released it physically too. So had to get my hands on it. Wonder Woman, again, not a lot of people are a fan of these DCEU like cartoon, like artwork, comic book styled artwork. Love the movie, except for the villains in the third act, but the movie overall is great, and the Steel, I think it's really cool, honestly. I really like it. To go with Clash, Wrath was also there, again, for like $7 or something like that. Excuse me. Very nice Steelbook. Definitely worth picking up. Venom Let There Be Carnage. The movie is like fine, but the Steelbook is damn fine, so I had to pick it up. Definitely worth the money. Top Gun in 4K, another classic. Top Gun Maverick has been on like my top 10 most anticipated list for the last like 3 years, and it'll remain there because I'm super excited for it, and I love the original. The Town, such a good true story movie. Ben Affleck directed the absolute shit out of this movie. It is so good. It is so intense. If you haven't seen The Town, check it out. It is very, very much so worth your time. Wolf of Wall Street 4K. Don't watch this with your kids. Good movie, though. Definitely another one that's among my favorite movies of all time, but very R-rated. Okay, we're not going to go through all the cases. This is my Friday the 13th. Was it Scream Factory? Shout Factory? I'm sorry, I get those two mixed up. Scream Factory. I really didn't need this, but I wanted it very badly, and I'm happy I have it. The Friday the 13th movies, they're the Friday the 13th movies. If you don't know what you're getting into when you're putting one of these on, that's on you. That's not on me. But the artwork is so cool. They remastered like the first 4 in 4K. Each one has its own individual cases. There's like a special bonus disc down the end here. There's like a little pamphlet with like behind the scenes stuff for these movies. It was super cool, and I'm very glad I got it. And I actually got a really good deal on it too. And they're like super limited edition. So very, very happy I got that one. Batman the Animated Series, my favorite animated show of all time, and it still holds up super well. The Blu-ray transfer on this show, so good. So good. And following up right behind that is another one of my, I think probably like number 3 if I had to like put a number on it, animated series of all time, my favorites, Batman Beyond. I grew up on this one a bit more than the animated series, I'd say, because this was still like new when I was growing up. I think it's almost just every bit as good as the animated series. Spectacular Spider-Man, it's a tie between this one and the 90s Spider-Man. The 90s Spider-Man never, sadly, got a Blu-ray release. There's like a bootleg version, but like I don't really trust that. But Spectacular Spider-Man ended way too soon, and they should continue it somehow. I don't know how, but just do it, okay? Because I said so. Friends. This is another show. Like, why the hell are people hating on Friends all of a sudden now? Like, saying, like, The Office is better, and this is better, and that's better. Friends is good. It's always been good. Shut up. And if you like it, then yeah, awesome. We're on the same page. I love Friends. And then we got these next couple. I have Rick and Morty season 1, 2, 3 here. Rick and Morty season 4 here. One of the best shows in general going right now. It is so unique, so hilarious. There's really nothing else. There's never been anything like it, and there isn't anything like it. I'm working on getting season 5, which was really, really good, by the way. And then the last of the animated series. Were those all animated? All animated except for Friends. And then the Superman, the animated series. Truthfully, I was not a huge fan of this growing up, but my goal is to get this, and I got it for a good price, as well as like Batman, the animated series, Batman Beyond, and then I plan to get the Justice League animated series as well, all on Blu-ray, so that way I have that whole like universe of animated shows together. Almost done, folks. Don't worry about it too much, okay? I'm just as breath as the rest of you. Greatest show of all time. This is like the greatest box set of all time. It is Breaking Bad. It is in a giant barrel. Yeah, I don't really need to say anymore, okay? Super cool limited edition box set for the show. Again, my favorite show of all time. In my opinion, the greatest show of all time. And, yeah, I love that collection. The fact that it came in a barrel, it's just a plastic tub, and it's awesome. I'd still say it's my second favorite show of all time. Even though they botched the ending. The ending sucks. Like, sucks. But the rest of the show, the other at least 6 seasons, because like 7's fine, some of the best television to ever air. So good, so cinematic. I got the 4K for a killer deal, and it's worth it. This is the way to watch it. If you can afford it, if you're either going to upgrade, or if you don't own the show already, this is by far the best way to go, the best way to watch it. And then the last thing here, kind of falling apart, the outer case, because I got it off eBay. But you know what? It's so rare, and I got it for such a killer deal that I couldn't pass it up. I think it even says on it somewhere. Yeah, it says, if you can read it, what is it? Here we go here. If you can even see that, it's probably super reflective. Right there. It shows that it is the 9,735th one produced of only 20,000. I couldn't get it anywhere new for cheaper than like $400. I got this one on eBay for like 150 bucks. The only thing is, most of the discs in here weren't even touched. It was just missing the little coloring book and like 3 collectible coins. It is awesome. It's got 30 animated DC movies in here. The little discs you can see up here, like I said, most of these weren't even touched because like you can't even like get them out of like the sleeves. Like they haven't even been taken out of here. And like the artwork is stunning. And it's 30 movies. 30 movies. DC animated movies are awesome. They kick so much ass. So yeah. But that is it for the special shelf, and now we're going to hop on to the big shelf behind me with all the rest of the Blu-rays. Alrighty folks, I know my setup usually looks a little bit cleaner than this when I'm doing my actual videos, but I was just in the process of editing my Blu-ray video, and I realized that we actually left 3 Steelbooks out of the mix. It was completely unintentional. When I was pulling everything off of the shelves, I accidentally put 3 from the Steelbook shelf onto the regular Blu-ray shelf just as I was pulling everything off. Actually, it was myself and my girlfriend that were pulling everything off, so we just stacked 3 of them there, and then when we were stacking everything beside me to shoot the video, we accidentally left them on the shelf. Like, I went back when I was editing and realized that as I was sitting down to do the video, you could see them on the shelf behind me. So they didn't make the cut, but I did definitely want to show you because they are, so, like, 2 of them are like some of my favorite Steelbooks that I own. So the first one is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This one got off Amazon for like really cheap. It was only like 18 or 19 bucks, and obviously it is one of the greatest slasher/horror movies ever made. The next one is The Suicide Squad. I showed you my David Ayer Suicide Squad Steelbook. This one is James Gunn's recently released The Suicide Squad. So you have that Steelbook there, which I think is spectacular. And then the last one is one that I mentioned. This one is The First Purge, which is actually the 4th Purge. You can tell by the 4 stars down there. Again, it's the same, the Sunrise Records one. I showed off the first 3 Purge movies and said that the 4th one was there, but I just didn't get you to show it because it got left out of the mix. But yeah, there you go. So now you've seen all of my Steelbooks. Alright, and now we're on to the big shelf itself, starting off with the top shelf. And we're just going to try to fly through these because there are a lot to go through. Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2. The first one's a guilty pleasure. The second one's trash. Alien Covenant. I defend this movie and love it. Wish we got a sequel. Still hoping we get a sequel. The whole Alien anthology, that is 1, Aliens, Alien 3, and then Resurrection. 2 of those movies are worth watching. Aliens is my favorite. Alien 4K. This is a really, really good transfer. If you can get your hands on this, it is worth it if you're a fan of the first Alien flick. Ad Astra. A lot of people think this movie's boring. I thought it was fantastic and one of the best movies of that year. The 4K looks stunning. Every Nightmare on Elm Street movie except for the 2010 remake. There's like 2 that are worth watching. That's 1 and Dream Warriors. A Few Good Men. Just got this for Christmas. One of the best courtroom dramas to ever exist. And the 4K, as far as I'm aware, is a great transfer. A Christmas Carol, which is probably my favorite Christmas movie. A lot of people don't like the animation. I love it. Like I said, probably my favorite Christmas movie. 300 and 300 Rise of an Empire. 300 is this one. Definitely the better of the 2. Zack Snyder, again, a master of his craft in my opinion. But they are both really solid comic book movies. Comic books come to life. They're really great comic book movies. 28 Days and Weeks Later, 2 of the best zombie movies ever created. I don't know which one I like better. I actually think I'm in the camp that likes, like, the rare camp that likes 28 Weeks better. I know this kills me that one of these have a slidey case and one doesn't. 21 and 22 Jump Street, some of the best comedies to release in recent memory. They are both absolutely hilarious. I actually just got this one. Don't know why it's in such like a chonky case, but 2012, it's like one of the most fun and best disaster movies out there. It's not like a good movie or anything, but like it's super fun to watch. 1917, a very unique war movie. It's edited to look like it's all in one take. And it's super cool, and it's actually a really good movie too, which is good. It's not just like a one-trick pony and kind of gimmicky. 13 Hours, one of Michael Bay's best movies, because there's actually story in here and characters that you like care about, believe it or not. And then of course Michael Bay action, which is always fun. Battleship, shit movie, but it had a slidey case and I got it for $1, so why not, right? Rihanna is not an actress, sorry. Batman The Dark Knight Returns, probably the best animated Batman movie. This is the way to go, the deluxe edition, so rather than having it part 1 and part 2, you have one giant 2.5-hour animated magnum opus. Batman Hush, one of the weaker DC AMU entries, but because it doesn't really perfectly adapt the storyline, but it's a fine animated movie. I had to get it for the collection. This is kind of like slided out. I don't know why here. I'm trying to put this back together. The Batman motion picture anthology has Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. Only 2 of those movies are worth watching. I'll let you guess which 2. Back to the Future trilogy in 4K, essential watching. These are 3 movies that I've watched probably more than almost any other movies in my entire life. I love all 3 of them pretty well equally. I'll rifle these next 3 bad boys off. Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Avengers Infinity War. Again, MCU collection, had to do it, and not like they're not great movies either, because they're all great movies. They're like all 10 out of 10s to me. Avatar, it isn't overrated. It's actually a damn good movie, and I'm still excited for the sequels, even though it's been like 13 years or something crazy like that. But in James Cameron we trust. Austin Powers. They are so stupid, but so hilarious. And I grew up loving them, and I still love them to this day. Argo, very, very solid. Once again, Ben Affleck directed, Oscar-winning, based on a true story movie. Really, really, really worth watching, honestly. It took me a while to actually get around to watching it, but I'm so glad I did. Ant-Man 1 and 2. These are on the weaker half of the MCU spectrum in my mind, but they're hilarious, so I do still very much so enjoy them. Annabelle 3 film collection. I just got it for like the Conjuring universe. The second one's the only one really worth watching. The first one is like god-awful. The third one's fine. American Sniper, I actually haven't watched this movie, but once again, I got it at my local pawn shop when they were clearing out, and it was $1, and it has a slidey case. I've heard it's amazing. I will get around to watching it. Alita Battle Angel, yes, I know, please don't shoot me. Another one in my collection that I haven't watched. I got it as a gift. Sadly, I haven't watched it yet, but I know that there is a huge fan base that really admires it and are hoping for a sequel. Constantine City of Demons, I think it's one of the weaker DC AMU movies. I'm not, I don't know. I don't know much about the character, I guess, so maybe that kind of hurt it a little bit, but it is still enjoyable enough. Collateral, very good movie. Have you ever thought of Tom Cruise as a bad guy? If you haven't seen this movie afterwards, you will. It's very, very, very good. Very well executed movie. Chucky 7 movie collection. I mean, again, I like having my collections. I like having all these to watch at Halloween time. There's like 1 or 2 good ones in here, but I mean, the collection is very nice. I got it off eBay for a good price, so I was happy to have it and add it to the collection. A couple of Tom Hanks ones up. Castaway, very good movie. Captain Phillips, very good movie. If it's got Tom Hanks in it, it's pretty much guaranteed that it's going to be a very good movie. So, you gotta love Tom Hanks. Captain Marvel. A lot of people hate this movie. I actually don't mind it. Like, I think it's fine. Once again, this is another one. I got this when it was new. Once again, screw you, Disney, for putting the IMAX only on Disney+. I'm going to mention that so many times, because once again, here we are. I have multiple copies of this. The 3D version here, it's like a special edition. Civil War, and then the 4Ks of the rest. You can't even see them all. But yeah, Captain America, I think this is the most solid trilogy in the MCU. Captain America Civil War is my second favorite MCU movie. Yeah, so damn good. Bumblebee, very good, new kind of fresh take on Transformers. Very small scale, but it's a very heartfelt coming-of-age kind of story. Blade Runner 2049, a masterpiece, one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely adore it top to bottom. The OG Blade Runner. I don't think this is as good as most people say, but I still think it's a very solid classic sci-fi film. I actually prefer 2049. Black Panther, R.I.P. my boy Chadwick Boseman. He absolutely nailed it with this role. And now this movie's just all that much more important to me because of that and his passing, but very good movie even before all of that. Black Hawk Down, one of the best war movies ever made in the 4K. Super underrated movie. I have so much fun watching this. I think it's hilarious. I think it's inventive. I think it's creative and unique. Birds of Prey. Check it out. And if you don't like it, well, that's your problem, not mine. Birdman. I think it's fine. Like, I don't love it or anything like that, like a lot of people do. I think it's well acted and stuff like that, and it's definitely unique. Not my favorite, though. Beetlejuice, one of my favorite Halloween movies to watch. The transfer is freaking good. This movie looks brand new with this 4K transfer. If you can afford to upgrade to the 4K, or if you don't own the movie, get the 4K. I promise you it will be worth it. Fast and Furious 1 to 6. Fast 5's the best one. The rest of them, Fast Furious 6 is good. The original's like a classic and stuff like that. But, you know, Fast and Furious is Fast and Furious. We're continuing on. Fantastic Beasts 1 and 2. I really enjoyed the first one. The second one, I only actually watched in theaters. It didn't impress me. Nevertheless, I am looking forward to the third one and seeing how they continue or conclude the story. E.T. Extraterrestrial, classic, 4K, had to get it. Transfer, great. Dunkirk, all style, no substance. This is the prettiest movie you will probably ever watch. One of the best sounding movies you will ever watch. But it's got no soul. It's got no characters. It's got, like, no story. But it is very good to look at. Christopher Nolan, it's like the only movie of his that I don't really care for all that much. Dodgeball, one of my all-time favorite comedies. I've been watching this since I was way too young to be watching it. But I love it. Top to bottom. 2 versions of Doctor Strange. The special edition 3D version and the 4K upgrade. Both, I mean, the 3D looks great. The 4K looks great. It's a great movie, I think, overall, honestly. Doctor Sleep, a movie that really surprised the shit out of me. This is a freaking good movie. Probably one of my favorite horror movies. Definitely one of my favorite horror movies in recent memory. Arguably, it creeps up into that all-time list. It's very good. Favorite movie of all time, Django Unchained. I don't really have to say why, because, you know, I'm allowed to have my opinion. My favorite movie of all time. District 9, I'm working on getting the 4K for this one because it is my favorite of Blomkamp's 3 movies and among my favorite movies ever made as well. Again, very unique, very different from anything else, really honestly, out there. The Die Hard, 5 movie now? 5 movie collection. Watch 1 and 3. 2 and 4 are okay. 5 is just trash. Don't watch it. Defiance, a very good, like, wartime movie. It stars Daniel Craig and Liev Schreiber. Very, very interesting take. A different perspective on the whole World War II, which has been, like, done to death in movies and games and stuff like that. Deepwater Horizon, one of the only movies in recent memory that I actually cried at. The ending is super, super emotional, very moving, based on a true story of a real-world disaster. Hit me super, super hard. Next up, we got Deadpool 1 and 2. I'm actually in the camp that prefers the sequel to the original, but they're both, like, absolutely hilarious, laugh-out-loud movies. So glad we have them. Ryan Reynolds doing some of his best work. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, my favorite of the new kind of remade Planet of the Apes trilogy. This guy right here, this guy that directed this is making the Batman. Confidence, folks. That's why I have confidence. Dawn of the Dead, probably my favorite zombie movie. Zack Snyder, remake of the original. I think it's damn near perfect for a zombie movie. Very, very good. I already have the Daniel Craig collection. I already showed this off. This is the 4K that I upgraded to, but it has the Blu-rays in it. I just needed somewhere to hold my Blu-rays. Creed and Creed 2. I do prefer the first Creed, but Creed 2 is also a very solid follow-up. Both excellent movies, very well acted, very well directed. Crank 1 and 2. You can see the stickers on them. I didn't pay that price. I got them for $1 each. They're absolutely absurd, ridiculous. Really not great movies, but they're a lot of fun to watch. And the last one for this shelf is the Cornetto trilogy, which of course is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. 3 of my all-time favorite comedies. Very, very British humor, but it's Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. It's like a trio, a match made in heaven. Love them all. Alrighty, and now we've moved on to the second shelf, and I actually missed one from the top shelf. Brightburn is like one of the newest entries to my collection. I got it for like $11. Actually, a surprisingly good movie that I really did enjoy when a lot of people didn't seem to. Goodfellas. It's a gangster classic. It's in 4K. Possibly Scorsese's best movie. Yeah, arguably the best gangster movie of all time. Gone Girl, David Fincher, you can never go wrong. This movie really does deserve all of the praise that it gets. It's a really, really good movie. Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla, the like remake one from 2014. A slower movie, but I really enjoy it. This one, I didn't enjoy as much. I should say. It was fine. The monster fights were cool, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping. Glass, a fine but underwhelming finale. However, you know, you gotta have it. I just count this one for Troy because I already showed off my Gladiator Steelbook. Troy, though, also a very good kind of swords and sandals movie. I got the duo pack, the combo pack for pretty cheap. I only got them because they were in 4K and I got them for a good deal. G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe Retaliation, they're like they're okay movies. Or G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, I think is the first one. They're fine movies, but the 4K is why I got them. Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, classics. Definitely prefer the OG to the sequel or any of the other ones for that matter. But yeah, I had to get them both, of course. Get Out, one of the best modern horror movies, an absolute masterpiece. And yeah, Jordan Peele knocked it out of the park in his directorial debut. Gangster Squad, got it for $1, haven't watched it yet, but I've heard good things, so I plan to check it out sometime soon. Gangs of New York, a very long but very, very, very good movie. So close to perfection, which I actually plan on doing a video on that movie at some point on how close it did get to perfection, but one fatal flaw. Gamer, $1 pickup, but it's got the 3D, and it's made by the same people who made Crank. So if you've seen Crank, you know what you're getting into. If you haven't seen Crank, well, I don't know, probably don't watch it, honestly. Fury, one of my favorite war movies. I will defend this movie tooth and nail because it's not as praised as some others out there. David Ayer crushed it, the entire cast absolutely committed, and the 4K is very, very, very good. So definitely worth picking up. I had this one to complete my collection of Friday and Nightmare movies. You got Freddy vs. Jason, Nightmare on Elm Street remake, Friday the 13th remake. They're all like okay, like you know what you're getting into when you watch those movies. Another new addition to the collection, Forrest Gump in 4K. Forrest Gump is an absolute classic. Again, with the whole Tom Hanks theme. Gotta love Tom Hanks. First Man, this movie deserves so much more recognition from the Academy than it got. It is a very, very good movie, very well executed, very impactful true story. I can't say the title, but you can read it. You can see what it is, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. Fantastic movie, of course. Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner classic. It's not everyone's cup of tea because it's very religious kind of based movie, but it's an excellent movie and a really good baseball movie, and it's a lot of fun. I'll throw all these together at once. Furious 7, the last good Fast and Furious movie, where it should have ended. Fate of the Furious, the beginning of the downfall. Hobbs and Shaw was also okay. You'll notice that I don't have F9, and I'm only ever going to get F9 if I get it for, like, effing cheap, because it's horrible movie. It's trash. Not good at all. Independence Day and Independence Day Resurgence. Resurgence isn't good, but I got the first one in 4K for a good deal, and the first one is very good. So, yeah, had to get them both. I, Tonya, picked it up for $5. Would have paid a lot more. Very, very good movie. Margot Robbie crushed it. Allison Janney crushed it too. Actually, even Sebastian. They all crushed it. They did a good job. I, Robot. This is just one of the movies that I've watched the most in my life. I don't know why. It's one of the movies that made me realize that I loved movies when I was a kid. And I've seen it more times than I could ever possibly care to count, and I always have fun with it. Next three, boom, boom, boom. One of the greatest film trilogies of all time, and I will die on this hill. The How to Train Your Dragon movies. They're all excellent, excellent movies. And yeah, I hope they don't make a fourth one, because the third one ended things on like the most perfect note. Horrible Bosses, excellent comedy. I don't have the sequel. I would pick it up if I could find it, but I also only bought this for $1. So yeah, but it's funny, and I really do enjoy it, to be 100% honest. Home Alone, it's in 4K. It's the only reason I got it. Christmas classic. Watch it every single year, of course. Just finished rewatching all these bad boys. If you're up to date on my channel at all, then you will know that I did a review on every single one of them and my ranking. One of my favorite film franchises ever. I've been watching these all since I was a little kid. I've owned them on VHS, DVD, and now Blu-ray and 4K. So, yeah, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Hangover 1, 2, 3. I got them for like a couple bucks each. Only the first one is worth watching. Don't watch the other ones. They're not good. The next one, I can show them all, I guess. This is the Halloween, like, the complete 10-movie collection. Like, this is probably my favorite of the slasher, like, you know, the big slashers, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw, Chucky. Halloween is my favorite. Michael Myers is my favorite. It goes all the way up until Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Doesn't have the special editions or anything like that, so there's not a ton of choice between, like, watching the director's cut or not watching the director's cut and stuff like that. But they're all fun, fine movies to watch. You'll see with the, what was it, Scream Factory 4K re-releases. I only picked up the first two because I don't really care for 3, 4, or 5. They did an excellent, excellent job on these 4K transfers. They look really, really good, like close to new transfers. They are really, really well done transfers. So, again, they're a bit more pricey, but if you can afford it, the transfers are worth it, I assure you. Hacksaw Ridge. I've been saying this a lot with like every movie I pick up, but one of the best war movies ever made. Andrew Garfield, you're an absolute beauty, and that movie is proof of this guy's acting chops. Guardians 1 or 2, 1 or 2? It's both of them. 1 and 2. Some of the best. Well, this is one of the best in the MCU. This one has grown on me a lot. The 4K looks good, but also, once again, screw you, Disney, for putting the IMAX only on Disney+. And I'm going to keep saying that for every movie that's on IMAX on Disney+, just so you're aware. Life of Pi, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movie. Yeah, it took me a really long time to watch it, but I absolutely love it now. Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, and 3, another incredibly consistent trilogy of very, very good movies from DreamWorks. All very, very good. The first one's still my favorite, but good movies. Kong Skull Island, the best of the MonsterVerse so far, I would say. At least the most well-made. I think Godzilla vs. Kong's a little bit more fun. It keeps up the pace a little bit more, but it's still a fun movie. Kingsman, the Golden Circle, the sequel to The Secret Service. I actually think this is every bit just as good as the first, which is like a super, super unpopular opinion, apparently, but I really enjoy it. Right back to my boy Tarantino. Kill Bill 1 and 2, must-owns for that Tarantino collection. I'm still missing some from the collection. I'm working on it, okay? I'm only one man. Kick-Ass 1 and 2. Kick-Ass 1 is a fantastic movie. Kick-Ass 2 is a completely forgettable movie. But, I mean, 1 and 2, why not, right? You gotta get them both. The finale to the DC AMU, and probably the best of the DC AMU, that 16-movie run that started with Flashpoint Paradox, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, is insanely brutal for an animated movie. Very, very good, though. The next set of movies, Jurassic Park Collection. This has the original Jurassic Park all the way up to Jurassic World, and I believe it has the 3D versions in it as well. And then Fallen Kingdom I have separately in 4K. I mean, you can never go wrong with the Jurassic movies. What do we have here? John Wick 1 and 3. As you saw, I had the Steelbook for 2 separately, but I got the 4K pickups for 1 and 3. Joker, another movie that often gets unnecessarily hated on. This movie's a masterpiece. Yeah, among my favorites of the year that it came out. Probably my second favorite, I think, because I think it came out the same year as Endgame. But yeah, it's so good. So well directed. So well acted. It Chapter 1 and 2. Chapter 1 is definitely the superior the superior film. But if you put them all together, you get one incredibly large, awesome, faithful adaptation. I don't love the ending, but nevertheless, good movies. Very, very good movies. Iron Man 1, 2, 3 in 4K. I think only the first one. I have to get mad at Disney for putting the IMAX only on Disney+. But yeah, I mean, it's Iron Man, bro. I cried like a baby when Tony Stark died at the end of Endgame. I still cry like a baby whenever I watch Endgame again, okay? I'll admit it. I don't care. Insidious 1, 2, and 3. I actually just bought the fourth one, but it's not in yet. This one has a really weird slidey case. It kind of bugs me. But nevertheless, the fourth one's the weakest one anyway. But these are very, very solid horror movies. They're very unique, a bit different than anything else out there. James Wan directed the first two, and the dude's a master of his craft. Indiana Jones, yes, I still own this. This is the Blu-ray collection because the 4Ks didn't come with Blu-ray, so in order to watch this anywhere but on my 4K player, I have to have the Blu-ray still, so I still have it. The next set, putting all these up at once. Pirates of the Caribbean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In my personal opinion, you really only need to watch 1, 2, and 3. That trilogy, very, very good. 4 is like fine, and 5 is fine. Like, you can watch them as fun adventure movies, but you really only need to watch 1, 2, and 3. The first one's the best one. Pulp Fiction, essential Tarantino viewing. I love the way they designed this Blu-ray case. Hoping for a 4K. Is there a 4K announced? I really don't know. Public Enemies, a super solid gangster movie starring Johnny Depp. It is very good as well. I think Christian Bale's in it too. Yeah, he is in it. It is a really, really good gangster movie, actually, and I also managed to pick that up for only like $1, which was like an absolute steal. Psycho, a classic. Alfred Hitchcock's best work, one of my favorite all-time horror, actually not really like scary, but like suspenseful movies of all time. Prometheus, I will defend this movie tooth and nail until the day I die. It is insanely good, and I don't know why so many people hate on it. This is the Predator. Oh, this is the collection. I thought there was only one of them. Predator, Predator 2, and Predators. I don't care for Predator 2. I think Predator is a little overrated. Predators is actually my favorite of the franchise. I think it's a great action movie. Sorry, but actually I'm not sorry at all. No Country for Old Men. Very, very effective, dark, kind of gritty movie. Extremely well acted, and it deserves all the recognition that it gets. Very excellent movie. Ninja Turtles 1, like the 2014 remake, with like the super CGI Ninja Turtles that are like buff bodybuilder dudes. I have fun watching this movie. I don't have the sequel yet. I only bought that one because I got it for $1. Working on getting the sequel. Nightcrawler. This movie is just a giant middle finger to the Academy because Jake Gyllenhaal wasn't even nominated. He should have won for this movie. My God, it is so good. And he is so good in it. Neighbors, dollar pickup, easy to watch comedy. It's like the typical Seth Rogen comedy. Zac Efron's a great looking dude, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Monster Hunter, I got this brand new for $1 at that pickup. I haven't even watched it yet. I don't really think I ever want to, but it was $1 and it had a slidey case. Like, I don't really care for Paul W.S. Anderson, but like at the same time, like, why not, right? Moneyball, this movie took me forever to watch. It is possibly the best sports movie ever made. It is incredibly well acted and very well written. It's a true story, and it's like a mind-blowing true story in all honesty. Midway, kind of the typical like Roland Emmerich, like big movie go boom kind of movie, but the Atmos in this movie, is it an Atmos? I don't even remember. Either way, the visuals look great, and the when stuff's popping off in this one, it's explosive, quite literally. Like, I thought my bass was gonna absolutely blow out like my subwoofer watching this movie. Me, Myself, and Irene, a great Jim Carrey comedy, something that's like a little bit more darker and twisted for him. Very R-rated, but very fun. Men in Black trilogy, the only 3 movies worth watching. I haven't even bothered to watch International. I want to upgrade to the 4Ks eventually, but right now I'll stick with my trilogy set. Memento, watch the movie in reverse, and it'll make more sense. Doesn't take away from the movie, though. The movie is excellent. Megamind, this movie does not get anywhere near enough love. This is hilarious and one of the best animated movies possibly ever. I Love My Girlfriend. Remember that, folks. Remember my sacrifices. Looper, one of the most unique time travel movies like ever made. Rian Johnson, again, a master of his craft. The guy doesn't miss. He hasn't made a bad movie, and Looper is further proof of that. Lone Survivor, very well made, true story. Again, one of my favorite war movies. It's a very, very sad movie because it is a true story, and it's very, very, it's brutal. It's definitely brutal to sit through. This movie has like 4 names. What is it? Live, Die, Repeat. I just call it Edge of Tomorrow. This also goes by All You Need Is Kill. Still waiting on the sequel. One of the biggest surprises, arguably, of my life. Such a good movie. Like, I cannot understate. Is that the word? That's a word. Understate how good of a movie it is and how worth your time it is. Paul, hilarious. Seth Rogen, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. One of the funniest movies I've ever watched. Patriots Day, also Deepwater Horizon, Lone Survivor, and Patriots Day. We don't need to talk about Mile 22. All same director, starring Marky Mark. True stories. Very, very well made movies. Absolutely worth your time. Parasite, I've only seen it the one time, and I wasn't as impressed with it as much as I think everyone else was, but definitely still worth the pickup. Paranormal Activity, 6-movie collection. I think I've only actually seen like the first one, but it was like $15 or something like that. And it's fun to watch at Halloween time. Put on and have some popcorn and turn off the lights and stuff like that. Pain and Gain, love-hate relationship with this movie because I think it's a very well-made Michael Bay like dark comedy, but it's also based on a true story, and you're rooting for the killers. A little messed up. Don't think of it that way. Just watch it as a movie and it's all right. Pacific Rim 1 and the other one, Pacific Rim 1, Guillermo del Toro. Dude, awesome movies. Transformers versus Giant Monsters. So cool. The second one is shit. Moving on. Overlord, most underrated movie of the year of its release. So damn good. Very dark, gritty, edgy, messed up. It's basically like almost like Nazi Zombies the movie. Well, that's what it was marketed as. Similar to that. More like Castle Wolfenstein, honestly. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Not my favorite Tarantino movie, but like, I mean, look at those beautiful, sexy, awesome people on the cover. That's why I bought this movie. They're all beautiful people. And Quentin Tarantino is a foot fetish, but he's a good guy, I think. Oculus. I picked this up at the Walmart bargain bin for $5. Haven't actually watched it, but it's Mike Flanagan. Stars Karen Gillan. That was worth it for me, I guess. Hellboy in 4K, still working on getting the Golden Army because that is one of the best duologies, if that's a real word, in like comic book movie history, and they're in 4K, and Hellboy is awesome, and Ron Perlman is awesome. I love you. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, not directed by Matt Reeves, still a very good starting point, and the 4K also looks great, even if we're not really supposed to like James Franco anymore, which makes sense. Resident Evil 1-6. Yeah, is it 1-6? Yeah. Don't hate me, but I actually have such a soft spot for these movies. I watch at least like one a year, if not all of them. They're horrible movies. They're so bad, except for like the first one is like guilty pleasure. But I don't know. I like them, okay? It's like an addiction. I should be on My Strange Addiction because of it. Reign of the Superman is the second part of Death of the Superman. Very fun, action-packed DC AMU entry. Real Steel, it's Rocky with Robots, starring Hugh Jackman. Still can't believe we haven't gotten a sequel. I guess there's a sequel series in the works, or maybe like a spin-off series. I don't know. Awesome. Ready Player One, not as good as the book, but it's a very good-looking movie, and it's a lot of fun, honestly. It's a total blast watching that movie time and time again. Saving Private Ryan, best war movie of all time. Best war movie of all time. That was words. San Andreas, it's like a fun kind of disaster movie starring The Rock. The Rock is The Rock. Sorry, I think we call him Dwayne Johnson now. Dwayne Johnson is Dwayne Johnson. Dwayning the Dwayne Johnson. Doing is Dwayne Johnson. So, yeah. Rocky 1 to... Does it have Balboa in it? I think it has Balboa. Yeah, it does. Rocky 1 to 6. I adore these movies. The fourth one is the best one. I've been watching them my entire life. Rocket Man. Where was the love? Where was the love from the Academy on this one? Bohemian Rhapsody got all the love. This is just as good, if not better. It's just as good because it's a musical, so it can't be better. But, like, Taron Egerton, man, he committed to this role. He deserved the love. On to the final shelf. Alrighty, folks, we have finally reached the last shelf on the shelf of shelves with 2 shelves. My brain's kind of mush at this point, sorry. Moving on. Spider-Man, Raimi Trilogy. 1, 2, 3. It's the Raimi Trilogy. Yes, 3 isn't as good as the other 2, but it's the Raimi Trilogy. I actually have the 4Ks ordered, and I'm super excited to get those in. Spectre, I already talked about this like 3 times. I had the Blu-ray. We'll leave it at that. Space Jam: New Legacy. I got this for cheap, and it's the only reason I have it. I haven't even watched it yet. I've heard it's horrible. But I'll watch it at some point. Because why not, right? Southpaw. This is a really good and powerful and actually deeply saddening boxing movie. The boxing in it is great. Jake Gyllenhaal once again proving why he's one of the best actors working today. These ones are kind of stuck together for some reason. Snowpiercer, Bong Joon-ho, Chris Evans, very good movie. It kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I was like, I'll watch it, I guess. Shocked the hell out of me. It's very good. Sin City 1, which I already had the Steelbook of, and then Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. Not as good as the OG, but I still think it's a worthy sequel. And I have the 3D Blu-ray, so I figured why not, right? Completionist. Sicario and Sicario 2. Sicario, the first one in my opinion, sorry, I think it's a little bit overrated, and I actually have more fun watching the sequel. But they're both very good movies, honestly. 7, one of the best, like, horror thriller, well, it's not really a horror, more like a mystery thriller movies of all time. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, David Fincher, someone else we can't talk about. Doesn't change the fact that it's an amazing movie. Scream, the Scream craze is in full swing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just did my ranking on them, so be sure to check it out. If you're watching this a year down the road, I just did a ranking. Way back. Go find it. Scream. Love Scream. Have the new one pre-ordered on Steelbook. Scott Pilgrim. One of the best comic book movies ever made. One of the most faithful comic book movies ever made. Edgar Wright, you're a master. Very good movie. 4K also. Very good. Schindler's List. Possibly the saddest movie ever made. So that's a great turnaround. Super long. Unbelievably worth it. Steven Spielberg, some of his best work, for sure. Scarface, it's Scarface. Say hello to my little friend, blah, blah, blah. All comes from this movie. It's as iconic as it is for a reason. It's a damn good movie. Longer, for sure, to another one, but I think it's based on a true story, too, but it's, like, Hollywooded. Saw collection. I think I have every one of them in here, but Jigsaw, I haven't watched them. They kind of make me sick to my stomach. But again, Halloween time rolls around and you kind of get like a bit of an itch for them. Like I've seen enough of them. I just never like actually sat down and like ate some popcorn or like gross meat and tried to watch it. I'm on to the next one. Savages. This movie is like hit or miss. Some people really enjoy it. Some people think it's garbage. I actually really enjoy it personally. It's a bit weirder, a bit kind of oddly directed, but I have fun watching it. Got a great cast too. The Bourne movies. I have the trilogy, which really are the only ones like really worth your time. They're all just absolutely just stupendous movies. The Bourne Legacy, okay, and then Jason Bourne, also, it's okay. It's fine. All together, 5 movies, good. Book of Eli, got it for $1. Surprisingly very good. The twist at the end, if you don't know what it is, I won't spoil it, but it's worth checking out for the twist alone. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 or 2, say what you want about these movies, I have a blast watching them. Andrew Garfield, we do not deserve you, you beautiful bastard. And I hope he comes back. Terminator Anthology. This is where the rest of the Terminator movies are from. 1, 2, 3, Salvation. Really only need to watch 1 and 2. 3 is fine. Salvation's like, meh. Tenet, I still don't understand it, but for some reason I still love it. I don't know, fight me. It's a good movie. Ted, I don't have Ted 2 because I never cared to watch Ted 2. I fell asleep halfway through Ted 2, and that's Ted 2. Ted 1, great comedy though. It's hilarious. Talladega Nights, one of the best comedies ever made. Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly at their finest. I don't have Step Brothers. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get Step Brothers, but it needs to be a good price. The Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, one of the better in the DC AMU if you ask me. I really enjoy it personally. The Star Trek, I guess they were calling it the Kelvin timeline. I just call it the reboot trilogy. I think these movies are all fantastic, and I have a blast watching them. Stand By Me, one of the most recent movies I got. I got this for Christmas. It's a wonderful movie. It is so simple, but a fantastically told story. Split, James McAvoy, all you need to watch is this movie. You don't even need to watch the rest of his filmography to find out why this dude is one of the best, most diverse and creative actors working today. A master of his craft. He is so, so good. Homecoming, Far From Home. I love these movies. I think they're like mid-tier MCU, but it doesn't mean I can't love them. And then, of course, No Way Home isn't out yet, but I do have the Steelbook pre-ordered, and it's No Way Home. It was my favorite movie of last year, so there you go. Hobbit Trilogy coming back at you once again. I've already said my piece about these movies. These are the extended versions. The extended editions don't really add much in the Hobbit Trilogy to me, not like they do with Lord of the Rings, but they're still the preferred version for me. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, still haven't watched it actually, but again, it was one of those like dollar pickups that I had, so I figured like, why not? It's $1 and I'll try it out, and I've heard good things. The Grey, one of the most underrated movies of all time in my opinion. I love this movie. It is just a very dark, kind of hopeless survival film. It feels really raw, really gritty, and it's like Liam Neeson at his best, except for Schindler's List. The Greatest Showman, I don't like musicals. I like this musical. Hugh Jackman stars in it. Keep that in mind. You'll notice a common theme. I love you, Hugh. The Great Gatsby. My girlfriend actually got me to watch this, and I'm thankful she did. I was going to watch it eventually anyway because of Leo, but she really pushed me to watch this one, and it's a very good movie. Some of the like visual effects are a little jarring for some reason, but I mean, it's Leo and then Tobey Maguire like just after the Raimi trilogy, so good for him. He hasn't really done much since then, but yeah. The Goonies. It's a classic, and it's in 4K, and it's a classic, and it's The Goonies. So, there you go. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, one of the best mystery thrillers of all time. I would say, truthfully, David Fincher again. Just an absolute master. Never read the book, but if it's anything like this, I will love it. It's very, very good. Very well acted. The Girl with All the Gifts, super underrated movie, zombie movie that like nobody talks about. And I watched it on Netflix once, and I fell head over heels for it. I really enjoy it. The Fighter, based on a true story, great boxing movie, some of Christian Bale's best work, some of Mark Wahlberg's best work too, actually, and Amy Adams for that matter. All very, very good. I love My Girlfriend. Actually, honestly, this isn't that bad of a movie. It's actually pretty good, not gonna lie. But I did get it for her because, you know, 1 in every 200 or so movies seems like a fair trade-off to me. Expendables 1, 2, and 3. You only really need to watch 1 and 2, but they're just great, like, throwback action movies. Like, they really do feel like 80s action movies, and they're a lot of fun. Which one's this? The Death of the Superman. This is just like all straight action, but it's actually so much. It's like an hour and 15 minutes of just action, and it's a lot of fun, honestly. The Day After Tomorrow, great disaster movie. If a disaster movie can be great, it's just fun to watch. Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I know a lot of people love to hate on this movie because it's super long and a lot of people find it boring. I found it to be a very moving and quite extraordinary tale, if I'm being honest. Very well acted, very well directed. Hold up, these 3, I'm running out of voice. The Conjuring, 1, 2, 3. The first one is the best one. The second one is also very good. The third one was fine. A little bit underwhelming, if I'm being completely honest. The Breakfast Club, 80s classic, just like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Anytime, any place, any time of year, anywhere, any clothing, any food, any. Great movie. Love it. Don't fall, Stack, please. I love you. The New Mutants. This movie is fine. It's fine, honestly. It was one of those movies that was cursed. It got delayed like 6 times. It's fine. It was okay. You know? The Maze Runner trilogy. I actually really enjoy these movies. The first one, is like one of my favorite comfort movies. I think they honestly got steadily worse over time. I'm in that camp that I actually really enjoy the Scorch Trials, but overall, they are great movies. Matrix trilogy. Watch the first one. The second one has like some of the best action out there. It's like a fantastic action movie. Third one isn't great, but yeah, the first Matrix movie is one of the best movies ever created. The Martian, this is the regular Blu-ray, but I actually have the 4K hidden under it. You can see that right there? Yeah. It's a 10 out of 10. It's some of Ridley Scott's best work. Matt Damon, I would say, argue at his best. Very, very well executed movie. Magnificent Seven remake. This movie was a blast. Nobody talks about this movie anymore. This was a ton of fun. This is like a throwback Western movie with like today's action in it. It was friggin' awesome. I love it. Greatest film trilogy of all time. Only watch the extended editions. They're longer, but they're worth it. The Lego Movie. I don't have the Lego Movie Part 2 because I thought it was like super disappointing. The Lego Movie, though, surprised the hell out of me. I love this movie. I think it's hilarious and very creative, very unique. The animation is absolutely just, it's wonderful. The Invisible Man, a remake that was like really good. Like Lee Whannell, you good, man. You do good stuff. Elizabeth Moss, too, proved to everyone that she's not just the girl from The Handmaid's Tale. She's an excellent actress. One of the best working today. The Incredible Hulk, definitely it ends up on the lower spectrum of the MCU, but I think it's super underrated. I like how there's an increased focus on Bruce Banner. Boom, boom, boom. Hunger Games, 1, 2, 3, 4. Second one's the best one. First one's really good. They didn't need to split the final one into 2 parts, but they did it anyway because money, and it worked out well. For the money, the movies are fine. Next set of movies. Toy Story, 1, 2, 3, 4. In 4K. Fourth one was a cash grab, and I will stand by that. It's fine. It's fine. But it was definitely a cash grab. It doesn't need to exist. The rest, the first Toy Story, my favorite animated movie of all time. Among my favorite movies of all time, in general. 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Try saying that 5 times fast. It's a very dreary movie, but it is one of the most well-acted movies I've ever watched in my entire life. And it's very good. Deserved all the award recognition that it got. Thor 1, 2, and 3. The first 2 are my 2 least favorite MCU movies. With that being said, I've still seen them like 5+ times each, and I have a blast watching them. Thor Ragnarok is like it's in my top 10 MCU movies. It's like number 7 or something like that. I love it. I know not everyone loves Taika Waititi's style, but anyway. Moving on. In James Cameron we trust, like I always say. Titanic. Again, a movie that I find gets unnecessarily shit on all the time nowadays. I love it. I really do genuinely love it. I think it's great. The Usual Suspects. We're not supposed to talk about the director or like one of the main stars anymore because they're kind of blacklisted by Hollywood, and rightfully so. Doesn't take away the fact that this is a very, very good movie. It's like a classic whodunit, and it's so good. I haven't watched this movie in about a decade, but I remember when it came out, I loved it. We'll see whenever I rewatch it, but I got it for $1, so I figured why the hell not, right? Silence of the Lambs, one of the best horror thriller movies of all time, one of the best acted movies of all time, and yeah, all the ones surrounding it I haven't bothered to watch. I've only bothered to watch Silence of the Lambs. Possibly the best horror movie of all time, The Shining. I mean, you know, it's Stanley Kubrick, and it's Jack Nicholson, and yeah, like I said, one of the best horror movies of all time. Shawshank Redemption, another one of the best movies of all time. I will keep repeating myself. One of the most well-acted, one of the most well-written, one of the most well-directed, one of the most moving, impactful, and emotional stories to ever be told, and it deserves to be IMDb's number 1 of all time, in my opinion, even if it's not my number 1 of all time. The Revenant, I only ever watched the movie once, but from what I remember, it was a stunning movie, and Leo finally got his Oscar, so go Leo. Return of the Living Dead, a super fun, goofy, over-the-top, self-referential zombie movie that I honestly love watching. The Prestige, possibly Christopher Nolan's most underrated movie. I think this is absolutely magnificent, and not enough people talk about it. It is very, very good. Polar Express, a lot of people hate the animation, hate the movie in general. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. I enjoy it. Yeah, sure, there's some Uncanny Valley stuff in there, but overall it's a good movie. I think we're kind of in a weird spot with Ezra Miller right now, but it doesn't take away the fact that this is also among my favorites. It's probably my favorite coming-of-age tale to ever exist. It's very emotional, very moving, touches on a lot of really dark and upsetting subjects that most other movies kind of shy away from. I only got this because it was $1. A lot of people love this and say, like, they swear that it's like the best comedy of all time. I think it's a fine comedy, if I'm truthful. Whiplash was my second favorite movie of the year of its release, just behind Interstellar, which, speaking of Interstellar, I actually have the Steelbook for Interstellar, and it's in my room, and I forgot to include it. So I also have Interstellar. But Whiplash, easily one of the best acted movies ever. I mean, J.K. Simmons in that movie, and Miles Teller for that matter, just absolutely blew my mind and continue to do so. Watchmen, probably one of the truest, if not the truest version of a graphic novel come to life. Zack Snyder, once again, he knows how to do it. I'm a fan, and I love Watchmen. It's probably the most accurate ever released. Speaking of the Interstellar Steelbook, here it is right here, just because I want to show it up, because I do love this Steelbook. It's another one that it's like, there's really nothing on it, but like, it tells you all you need to know. And it's one of my favorite movies ever made. Warrior, again, among the best sports movies ever made. Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton in this movie are something else. And Nick Nolte, like, holy shit. Very, very good movie. Even if the fighting's not always the most realistic, but it looks great. War of the Worlds, super underrated Spielberg and Tom Cruise, like, alien flick. It's awesome. Honestly, it's super awesome, and I love it, so I got the 4K. World War Z, not the best zombie movie ever made, and it's not faithful to the book either, but it's a ton of fun, and Brad Pitt stars in it, so, you know, it is what it is. It's super crazy, kind of chaotic fun. Wonder Woman Bloodlines, I only got it to complete the DC AMU collection, because I think it is easily the worst. Wonder Woman 1984, just completing collections once again. I think this was a total letdown of a sequel, and it actually made me sad on Christmas Day, which was not supposed to happen. But yeah, it wasn't very good. This has the Wolverine and X-Men Origins Wolverine. X-Men Origins Wolverine is garbage, but fun to watch, and the Wolverine I think is super underrated, and I have a lot of fun watching it. War for the Planet of the Apes, one of the best trilogy conclusions ever made. Matt Reeves, once again, in Matt Reeves we trust for the Batman, because this movie is some of the best cinema arguably ever. It's very good. Warcraft, I got this for like dirt cheap. Haven't even watched it yet. I've heard it was good though, because it's another one of those that has a huge fan base demanding a sequel, but I've never watched it. I have Venom Let There Be Carnage. Steelbook, so naturally I had to get the other one another way. I was late. I wasn't able to get the Steelbook for this one, but I got the first one. V for Vendetta. Remember the 5th of November. And the rest of the quote. Excellent movie. Again, comic book adaptation that was extremely faithful. Hugo Weaving, very good. Natalie Portman, very good. Us. Don't like it quite as much as Get Out. However, it has grown on me a little bit over time. So again, I had Get Out. I had to get Us too. Underworld Collection. These movies kind of fall into the same category as Resident Evil, like just kind of guilty pleasure, fun movies to watch. Transformers 5 movie collection. Only watch the first 3. That's all I ever do. I genuinely do enjoy the first 3. They played a very important part in my childhood. Age of Extinction is okay. The Last Night is awful, but it does look really good with its IMAX shots and its Dolby Atmos. Excuse me, folks. And we are almost there. We're at the last few. Zombieland Double Tap. I am in the camp, the very, very minority camp, that I think this is just as good as the original. Sorry, not sorry. I love it. I think it's super funny and really, it just kind of was good, okay? It reminded me a lot of the original. Zodiac. It's the Zodiac. I mean, it's Zodiac. It's David Fincher. It's Jake Gyllenhaal. It's Mark Ruffalo. It's Robert Downey Jr. It's very good. Probably, I don't know. I don't want to keep saying like my favorite, but yeah, it's probably one of my favorite mystery murder thriller movies ever. It's awesome. Zero Dark 30, a very long movie, but a very worthwhile movie. It's all about the hunting down of Osama bin Laden. Very, very well executed movie. Zack Snyder's trilogy should have been more to it than just the trilogy, but I mean, I had to get it again. I know I have all these movies already. It's got Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice with the new 4K in it, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, so that's got all 3 in there, and I like the artwork on it, so I had to buy it, and I had a gift card, so I got it for like $7. You're Next. I'm pretty sure I got this at the Dollarama. It's actually a pretty kick-ass like slasher movie where you have a leading lady that's not just a scream queen, but actually fights back and kicks all sort of ass. And to conclude, all of the X-Men movies, except for like the Wolverine movies and the New Mutants. So I think this one has 1, 2, 3 in 4K. This one has First Class, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse. And then Dark Phoenix. Sure, they're not as good or consistent as some other movies out there. Actually, that's a lie. Some of them are as good as the best superhero movies out there, but it just wasn't consistent. Wasn't consistent enough, folks. But yeah, that's it for the shelf. That's all the Blu-rays that I have. Yeah, I know it's not the biggest collection in the world, but you know what? It's my collection, and I'm keeping it going and growing every single day. I look forward to updating you all in another year's time. Hopefully, maybe I can get this one out at Christmas/New Year's time next year. But, thank you all for watching. Yeah, and, back to me. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you collect Blu-rays yourself and what your favorite thing from your collection is. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.